Welcome back to the Skin Gig, Helpful Hints on Humaning with Tiffany Sankofa from Sankofa Counseling. Today we're going to be talking about a new program that I'm starting called Making Sense Out of Change. If you're anything like me, you've tried all kinds of things in order to make permanent change in your life. And lots of these things have been really helpful, but maybe not complete. There's not enough things all in one place. So I'm developing a program that puts all the best of each of these in one place, that honors and respects that we actually need something different at each stage of the change that we're making when we're making that a permanent change in our lives. I'm going to give you the 7 points that are required in order to make a permanent, lasting change in our lives. Now, don't think that you know what these mean just by looking at the titles. I promise I'll explain each one in a reel that follows. And you can always skip steps. Just understand that if you skip steps, you're going to wind up going back and starting over, because it's just like, when we're growing up, we can't skip the crawling part before the walking part. Yeah. So the 7 steps are calling community, creating a concrete goal, congruent agreement, that's M-braining, couple that effort with dopamine, make a clear path, then create it into a conscious identity. And after that, the most important one, the one that we forget, creative learning. This is about relapse as recovery. Our first step in making a permanent change in our lives is call community. Now, what I mean by this is that we kind of have it in our heads that we can make a change on our own. Nobody has to know. We're just going to come out all brilliant with this wonderful changed life. But in truth, we need different things at different stages of change, and that conviction that we have and that determination that we have in the first is going to wax and wane. And so, having somebody else that you work with on your change, someone that you've said, here's what I'm planning to do, somebody you can talk through the mistakes and the foibles and the challenges and the pitfalls with, will actually help you get to your change as a permanent lifestyle change. So community doesn't actually have to be bigger than 2 people. It might be a coach, it might be a counselor like me. It could be a friend, it could be a family member, somebody who's also making a change and also following the Making Sense Out of Change program. Our second step in making sense out of change is creating a concrete goal. And what I mean by that is making it very specific and making it measurable. Making sure that it's something that you're confident to a 7 out of 10 that you're going to do. So don't be afraid to set low goals. If you set a goal too high and then you don't achieve it, you're going to get overwhelmed with frustration. You're going to start to feel hopeless. You're not going to go back to where you were before. You'll probably go even lower than where you were before. So why set yourself up like that? It's okay to set what feel like maybe ridiculously low goals at the time. Like, say for instance, you want to work out 5 days a week. Great. That's an aspiration, not a goal, unless you're already working out at least 4 days a week. So if somebody says, I want to work out 5 days a week, and I ask them, how many times are you working out a week now? And they say, 1 or none. Yeah. Start small. Your goal may be 2 times a week. So say your specific measurable goal is, I'm going to work out at least 2 days a week, and then give it a time limit for the next 2 weeks or for the next week, whatever you're confident to a 7 that you can accomplish and you can achieve. Like I said, don't be afraid to set those goals low, because you'll build on your successes. But if you set them too high, that fall is going to make it so that you take longer and longer and longer to actually get where you want to go. Our third step in making sense out of change is making a congruent agreement. So that's a phrase that comes out of Ericksonian hypnotherapy. It's getting all of the information from all 3 brains, which is M-braining. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look at my reels on M-braining. Making sure that you get the data from your heart brain and your gut brain. So say, for instance, your goal is to quit smoking. You absolutely, truly, in this brain, want to quit smoking. That is absolutely true. If you listen to your body and the thing in your stomach that just clenched up, and the thing in your heart that just made it go faster, and the thing that made you really strong, solid, kind of like a shell outside of that around your heart, those are telling you it's also true that you really don't want to quit smoking. So if you're going to accomplish your goal, you're going to need to listen to the information from your gut brain and your heart brain as well, and possibly recreate or alter your concrete goal that was in step 2 so that it better matches the information. Maybe you're afraid to stop smoking. Maybe you need to have something else that will do what smoking was doing for you in order to succeed. So listen to those other 2 brains. Get a congruent agreement. Don't be afraid to change that concrete goal, and let's get you to success. Our fourth step of making permanent change is coupling your change with dopamine. And what I mean by that is the enthusiasm and excitement that you had when you first set the goal is very likely going to wane. Having accountability, having that, community that you're working with that helps you stay on task with what you wanted to do is very helpful, but it's also helpful to couple what you're doing with dopamine. For example, say you are really, really tired of working out, even though you set a goal, you really want to be somebody who works out, but you're still only working out 2 days a week and it's really hard to make yourself do it. Couple working out with listening to a book you want to listen to, a recorded book. Couple it with chatting with a friend. Couple it with something that you reward yourself with afterward, something that gives you a dopamine hit so that when the changed behavior is just not that attractive, the thing you couple it with will be attractive enough to carry you over so that you do the thing. You do the thing you do. You do the thing you do. You do the thing you do. And that's how we cut a neural path. When they talk about forming a habit, that's what they're talking about. They're cutting a neural path so that it feels more normal to do the thing than to not do the thing. But until you're there, couple it with something that makes it worthwhile to do. Our fifth step in making permanent change is clear path. What I mean by that is making it easier to do the thing than not do the thing. So think ahead of time about things that remove the obstacles. If you're trying to quit smoking, making sure that your cigarettes are very, very hard to find, or you have to go through 6 steps in order to get to them. It makes them very difficult to get to. It makes it harder to do the thing you don't want to do and easier to do the thing you do want to do. Or for instance, if your goal is to work out, well, maybe making it easier to do, making that clear path, is getting everything that you need ready the day before. So say if you're going to work out in the morning, you have your bag and your food and everything for the day after you work out. Everything is ready to go and by the door or in the refrigerator. So you just pop, pop, pop. And before you're even awake enough to notice that you really don't want to do the thing, you have everything you need. You might as well just go to the gym. So that is step 5. We're getting very close, aren't we? This is exciting. Our sixth step in making sense out of change is making a conscious identity of the change. This is, I'm a person who. You still could be very vulnerable to being knocked off your good path by a curveball. Say your schedule changes or something, you get sick, something happens, and it will be a big curveball, even though you've cut that deep neural path. Making it a conscious identity is the thing that can carry you over an awful lot of the time. I am a person who works out. So, I had the flu for a week and I didn't work out. But I'm a person who works out. So as soon as I can, I'm going to kind of want to do that thing. I'm a person who, when you create it as an identity, you're much more likely to gravitate towards that positive identity that you wanted to establish. Our last step in creating a permanent change in our lives, don't forget this one, it wasn't creating identity. It wasn't I'm a person who, it's creative forward learning. And what I mean by that is the same thing as relapse as recovery. Friend, you're not always going to do this change perfectly. You're going to mess up. There's going to be times where things are all stacked against you and you did the thing you didn't want to do instead of the thing you wanted to do. That's okay. Like Ron Klein, my trainer in hypnotherapy, said, there's no such thing as failure. There's only outcomes. There's the outcome you anticipated and there's the outcome you didn't anticipate that taught you something. So it's all just data. So when things go left, when it doesn't go the way you want it to go, learn from it. Make a commitment to that person you're calling community with that, especially when you're not doing well, you're going to communicate with them about what happened so you can troubleshoot. What do I need to do differently in order to prevent that from happening in the future? You have not failed. You have succeeded in solidifying that identity that much more because now you even have action points for times when you're going to be challenged in ways you didn't expect to be. And now, this is a permanent change in your life. Kudos. This is exciting. So like, follow, subscribe, wherever we are, whatever platform we're on, and I'll see you again in the space soon.